Good morning, this is Rashad Mitchell, coming to you live from my YouTube channel as I continue on my part series, the week that was college football history and review, the 1969 college football season. And I'll be getting into November 8th, 1969. This is week number 8, I believe, week 8. So we're going to get into it, man. Continue to subway and break down a great season of college football in 1969 and do all I can to break it down for you this morning. This is week 8, November 8th, 1969. Here it is. Duke beat Clemson by a score of 34-27. It was as if opponents swapped game plans as Duke passing star quarterback Leo Hart ran for 3 touchdowns for a 21-9 lead in the third quarter, and Clemson considered one of Lee's better running threats. Scored twice on pass receptions by tight end John McKicken. And once a win quarterback Jimmy Kendrick arched 50-yard bombs to tight end Jim Sursavage. Tigers looked to stay unbeaten in the ACC play. Had proud for a 9-0 lead as wide receiver Charlie Waters turned pass to find McMakin for 32-yard score early in the second quarter. Now Terms got Blue Devils back into it as linebacker Lanny Murdoch fell on fumble and safety Rich Searle picked off. Tigers passed to set up touchdown runs by Hart. Now kicker Jimmy Barnett booted 27-yard field goal late in the third quarter to pull Clemson within 21-19, but Duke turned right around for 79-yard voyage to tailback John Capilano's 1-yard touchdown dive. Next, it was tied as a result between Florida and Georgia. Florida was ranked number 13 against number 16 Georgia. This matchup in Jacksonville ended in a tie 13-13 final. Record Gator Bowl Stadium crowd walked out scratching its collective heads over second try Florida field goal late in the second quarter that provided the Gators with a 10-0 halftime lead. After the Bulldogs had 8-yard touchdown run nullified in the first quarter, revved up Florida held at its 1-yard line. Fullback Mike Rich smashed for 12 yards for the Florida touchdown, and Gators moved deep into Georgia territory late in the second quarter. Florida called fake field goal with 1:34 left before halftime, only to have halfback John Schnebley run soundly flattened by alert Bulldogs defense. But official apparently had blown his whistle before snap because photographers and fans had crowded into back of end zone. Reprieve from its disaster, Gators chose to take kicker Richard Franco's 26-yard field goal for 10-0 halftime lead. Georgia bounced back with 13-point third quarter as starting quarterback Mike Caven left bench to spark drive to halfback Steve Farnsworth touchdown run, and halfback Trav Payne raced 46 yards to score on a draw play. Now Franco tied it with 21-yard field goal in the fourth quarter after tailback Tommy Dorrance 97 yards for 21 carries, rushed for 34 and 16-yard runs. But Franco missed from 22 yards out because of bad snap in the last 15 seconds of the game. Louisiana State, the number 12 team in the country, defeated Alabama by a score of 20-15. Tailback Alan Shorby had 129 yards on 26 carries, broke a 33 halftime tie with third quarter touchdown plunge, and ran 3 yards in the fourth quarter to put LSU out of reach at 20-9. Now Alabama quarterback Scott Hunter passed 18 of 38 for 284 yards, including touchdowns to tight end Hunter Husband, the wide receiver David Bailey. Tigers earned first win over ties since 1958, in part because of early fourth quarter from recovery at LSU 5-yard line by alert defensive back Tommy Casanova. Next, Tennessee, the number 3 team in the country, beat South Carolina 29-14. Leaders of the ACC Gamecocks proved to be troublesome foe to undefeated Tennessee of the SEC. South Carolina outgained Volunteers 347 yards to 315 yards, stymied Volunteers' ground game for 101 yards, and used sound the tragedy for fullback Warren Murr, who had 159 yards rushing on 31 carries and a touchdown to Power for good yards up the middle and reverses from double wing T setup. Now, despite Carolina's dominance in the first half, Volunteers defensive back Bill Young stepped in for interception late in the second quarter that provided chance for tailback Don McLeary to leave Gamecocks linebacker Greg Crabb in dust on a 20-yard touchdown catch for 10-7 halftime bulge. South Carolina edged within 16-14 in the fourth quarter when Gamecocks quarterback Randy Yoakum left bench for injured quarterback Tommy Suggs to fire a 22-yard touchdown pass to tailback Rudy Holloman. Tennessee quarterback Bobby Scott pulled away from his second and third touchdown passes in to wide receiver Gary Krise for 40 yards and tight end Ken DeLone for 7 yards. Next, Iowa beat Indiana by a score of 28-17. Missouri, the number 9 team in the country, beat number 20 Oklahoma 44-10 with weak secondary of Oklahoma already revealed and lost to Texas and Kansas State. Run-favoring Missouri chose pass-oriented game plan with prodigious results. The Tigers quarterback Terry McMillan passed 17 of 37 for 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, most single-game aerial yard total in 12 years under coach Dan Devine. It led to latest to-date win margin over Mizzou's hated Norman Conquerors. Missouri wide receiver Mel Graves' blazing speed was impossible to cover as he caught 6 passes for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. But first, Sooners jumped to 10-0 lead early in the second quarter as tailback Steve Owens, who had 109 yards and 29 carries, swept 2 5-yard touchdowns, tying collegiate career touchdown mark. Kicker Henry Brown put Mizzou on scoreboard with 21-yard field goal in 5:30 to go in the second quarter to light 37-point fire that erupted over the next 21 minutes. And McMillan hit Gray with a 24-yard touchdown. Halfback Joe Moore had 110 yards on 23 carries and a touchdown. Scored on a 22-yard draw to create 17-10 Tigers beat at halftime. After 2 more Missouri touchdowns in the third quarter, Owens' fumble of kickoff slid into end zone for a touchdown reception by Missouri defensive end Dan Borgard, which lifted margin to 37-10. McMillan and Gray set school single game record marks for passing yards. Next, Nebraska, the number 20 team in the country, defeated Iowa State 17-3. Coach Bob Devaney scored his 100th career win and sound the decision of calling quarterback Jerry Taggart off bench in the second half paved way to Nebraska victory. After scoreless first quarter, the lethargic Husker to attack managed quarterback Van Browsen short touchdown run, but Iowa State came back with kicker Vern Skripski 30-yard field goal to stay close at halftime at 7-3. Tagg's throws in the third quarter helped deliver 10 points, including his 9-yard touchdown pass with field goal Mike Green. Cyclones were limited to 28 yards rushing and 147 yards total offense. Texas, the number 2 team in the country, beat Baylor 56-14 despite having had 27 players stricken by the virus. Texas rolled to school record to date 16th win in a row. With starters retired in the second quarter with 28-0 lead, even some of ill Longhorns followed into scoring that, including sub-halfback Bobby Callison, who tallied on runs of 1, 1, and 37 yards. Backup Texas quarterback Eddie Phillips added 2 touchdown runs. Hapless Baylor was on the way to win the season, but got 2 touchdowns from running back Gordon Utgard. Texas Christian beat Texas Tech 35-26. Arkansas, the number 14 in the country, beat Rice 30-6. For a while, hopeful Rice hung close to undefeated Arkansas, tying game at 3-3 in the second quarter on kicker Tim Davis' 33-yard field goal, leading only 10-6 at halftime. The Razorbacks burst from the locker room for touchdowns on their first 2 possessions of third quarter. Quarterback Bill Montgomery connected with wide receiver John Reese for 14-yard touchdown, and tailback Bill Barnett dashed 23 yards to his second score, as Arkansas won its 13th game in a row. And finally, number 6 Southern California beat Washington State 28-7. Rash of offensive offside penalties against Southern California had Coach John McKay furious. Lowly Cougars use now as Bark signal to jump their defense into different format. So USC preferred signaling its offensive snap would go. Jones kept jumping outside. McKay cracked. If we can't distinguish between go and now, then we're all in trouble. Still, Trojans won easily, sending Wazoo to a 7th straight defeat. As USC sophomore tailback Clarence Davis, who was the successor to O.J. Simpson, ran past a 1,000-yard rushing mark, as Davis had 196 yards rushing and 34 carries and a touchdown, leading the way to opening touchdown. A step aside for bigger sub tailback Mike Berry to blast across from 1-yard line and scored later in the first quarter on a 7-yard run after defensive end Jimmy Gunn fell on Cougar's fumble. But USC played just as well as it needed to and allowed strong rush to disrupt punter Ron Yella. Second quarter punt, it went 28 yards, set up 52-yard touchdown march for Washington State. Now the Cougars scored in 10 plays as fullback Bob Ewing went 5 yards to make it 14-7. Fleet quarterback Jimmy Jones scored twice in second half for Troy. Second clues look at Week 8, the week that was college football review, 1969 college football season for November 8th, 1969, week number 8. Now let's get into the November 10th AP poll. Number 1 was Ohio State, number 2 was Texas, number 3 was Tennessee, 4 was Arkansas, 5 Penn State, 6 Southern California, 7 UCLA, 8 Missouri, number 9 Notre Dame, 10 Purdue, 11 Auburn, 12 Louisiana State, 13 Stanford, 14 Michigan, 15 Florida, number 16 Georgia, 17 was Nebraska. For the 18th spot was a tie between Mississippi and Houston, and number 20 was Air Force. So clues look at the week that was college football review, 1969 college football season for week 8. The games that were played on November the 8th, 1969. So we got a few more weeks to go in this season to look at the recap the season. So Team Sports, like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. Do a video of this magnitude tomorrow. Let's look at week 9 of the games that were played on November 15th, 1969. Please like and subscribe and comment on the channel. Do a video of this magnitude tomorrow. Until then, talk to you soon.